All right, welcome everybody into another episode of The Blueprint. It's November. It's championship season. We talked about in the open, Devin, Michigan, only 2 losses, really control their own destiny going into that Ohio State game. Just got to handle business. And the result, they handled business. They got the win. Wasn't pretty against Purdue. I think they were 20-point favorites, won by 5 in the final score. So I don't know, man. What did you think of the game?
It was fairly disappointing on the offensive side for sure. We talked about it week after week. It's like, hey, as long as there's improvement, we're good to go. And there was a step back from Bryce Underwood, and people don't want to hear that, and I don't want to say that, and it's awful because late in the season you just want those steps to continue to go forward. Like we talked about last week, it doesn't have to be huge, groundbreaking steps, but we want to see steps forward. And there, I don't think there's enough time for you to take steps back, and I think he took a decent sized step back this week. The one positive thing though, for sure, that running game, incredible. The offensive line, pass blocking, outstanding, and we still got those 2 dynamic wide receivers, and we only got 1 catch to our number 1 receiver a week ago in this past game. I mean, that is not something that is conducive to the success of this offense. You got to find ways to get the ball in the hands of number 1. Weren't able to do that. So a few takeaways. Limited in concepts you can run, and it's making the pass game very predictable, right? So week after week, we've talked about sail and different ways to get to sail where you put guys in that same position. It seems like it's their only pass play, right?
They're
they
running
continue to
a
run
lot
it,
of
and
the
so
similar pass plays.
now teams are going to start to see, oh, this is all you're going to run? Okay, we're going to put guys over there, especially when you go sprint out. We're just going to flood that area with people, and Bryce Underwood's vision is going to get deterred. Purdue was very – it's like they watched our show, like, oh, this is all they run? All right, cool. And so they were in position to make a lot of those plays.
Even on the boot action, Dev, I wanted to just like boot action.
100%.
It felt like Purdue, they said backside, don't pursue the run. Backside, pursue Bryce whether he has the ball
100%.
or not. And he had guys in his face.
Of course. And then Bryce is in his drops, and the offensive line can't be really used as an excuse anymore. He's dropping back, and his eyes are straight to the rush, right? If the first read is not open, and in one instance when we show these pictures, you're going to see that the first read is actually open, right? However, his eyes are looking at the rush, and this is why I always talk about tall quarterbacks and short quarterbacks, because he's tall, but it looks like he's looking at it, and he runs out of the pocket, right? It's like you can't see it. So we'll start talking about that with the pictures. But the 2 turnovers in the turnover in the red zone cannot happen, right? You got a throw where there's an open wide receiver, and then bad ball security for a touchback. Bryce Underwood just didn't see it well in this game. I counted 7 misses where a guy's open, right? Because, everybody talked about the separation of wide receiver. We need to get guys open. Well, you've got 7 clear guys open and just missed them. Just completely missed them. Clean pocket, all those different things. And then the disparity in drop back completions, right? Drop back completions versus outside the pocket, right? You got 3 drop back completions in this game, and they were all quicks, like hitches or stick routes, something like that. And so you think like, is the only way we can complete passes outside the pocket? And if that's the case, that's not going to be a recipe for the ultimate goal of what they want to do. And then outside the pocket, there were 5 completions, one of them being a trick play, but it's the offense is not taking any steps forward. And let me rephrase that. The offensive play calling hasn't taken these steps forward, because I can't say the offense hasn't, because the offensive line is significantly better in the run and the pass game. I am so impressed with what Grant Newsome has been able to do with that offensive line. I didn't trust it. I didn't think it would work out, and not because of Grant, but just because I didn't think they were talented enough. Those guys are playing really good football. And then Marsh, obviously a dynamic player, and McCulley, though that you don't usually get 2 receivers that good on the same team, especially for Michigan or in the Big Ten, unless you're Ohio State. That's awesome. And 17, right? Big tight end. He's getting back. He's starting to move a little better. I think that ankle is starting to subside some and get some of his speed back. And at the quarterback position, we just haven't taken the steps forward. The running backs were good from the start, right? We don't even have to talk about them improving. They have been good from the start, and they can continue to get better. But this game was. I haven't felt this weird after a win in a long time. It was not, because against Michigan State, it's a rivalry. It's always going to be like that. against Purdue, it's not always going to be like that. And I kind of cautioned everybody about the past when Justin Siller came in and almost beat Michigan, and that was almost what we saw. And thank God we didn't, because now you can continue to teach, grow, and learn without a loss on your record, but it still doesn't feel good.
I think there's a lot of carryover here because, at the end of the day, football, like when you're talking about progression or not, it just comes back to the fundamentals. And I do give Grant a ton of credit with the offensive line. I made a point to say it on air. This is a young offensive line. I mean, Sharon said this is the youngest starting five that he remembers ever working with. And yet I see their fundamentals, their footwork, their pad level, their communication is taking clear progressions every week. That's what allows them to be dominant.
Just like a synchronized swimming team. You showed clips of them moving. Like, I don't think I've ever seen this, honestly, where their feet are up and down at the exact same time, and on those plays, those stretch plays, different things like that. You highlighted that a couple weeks ago, and it just has gotten better and better.
Yeah, the best Iowa Hawkeye offensive lines, they do that. And that's what they're starting with, youth, and it leads to dominance. The running backs are fundamentally sound. And then I look at Bryce and I say, this is what's concerning to me is at a fundamental level, the footwork is not there. He's relying, all of his completions, in my opinion, were just pure talent. There was not fundamentals, and that's the part that's concerning because you want to see fundamentals progress. I think the bye week, and we'll get into it, comes at a great time because just like we talked about earlier in the season, you get a chance to catch your breath, rather correct these mistakes after a win than a loss and get back to the fundamentals. I'll have some pictures on that. And then play calling, Dev, to your point, guys were open. I talked to a number of Michigan fans after the game, like, why don't we just run the ball? I'm like, what do you mean? There was guys schemed open.
But also they say, why don't we throw the ball? Why don't we throw it? Before they were saying, why don't we throw the ball? My goodness.
Guys were open. There was opportunities and there was missed opportunities.
You got that bird's eye view. You were right there.
Right there.
And what people don't know about when we do these broadcasts is a lot of times when a guy's running wide open, we don't show it. Right? Mm-hmm. We just let it go because you don't want to kill guys during a game. And so there are more opportunities than people even know of guys running wide open. And you saw it in real time. So I can imagine you were pretty stressed out in the booth.
Yeah.
Well, take us through what you were going through as a former Wolverine, All-American, a guy that has to do this podcast, but you also have to be a professional and be unbiased. Like, take me what you were going through, not trying to get too upset when you're seeing guys running wide open and not hit.
Well, you know what? I didn't really get upset. I was just trying to be, fair. And I was looking at it, I'm like, man, it just felt like Bryce. We've said this so many times. Yeah. He never looked settled. I think that's the part that you want to be settled early in the game. I would understand if a guy's getting hit a bunch in the backfield, why you might be unsettled, but it was early in the game from the start. He wasn't settled.
Early in the game, post games where he's been protected.
Right. And because, again, the offensive line is progressing, and Sharon even said it at halftime. He's like, look, Bryce is dropping his eyes to the rush far too often. I felt coming out of the second half. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're all on the same page here.
Yeah.
And I just think it's like this bye week, forget everything else and like get down to the base fundamentals because his talent is so clearly there if you can get the fundamentals in place. And I think, part of this too, Dev, is, Donaven McCulley goes out and they're relying on Jamar Browder, another you got two freshmen, Jamar Browder and Andrew Marsh. This is a young team. Browder had a drop on 3rd and 4 coming out of the second half. There's a slant and go and he's open. I think Bryce was expecting him to bend it in a little bit more. Either way, they're just not on the same page. But like to reach the ultimate goals, we're talking about Michigan as a playoff team, a potential Big Ten championship appearance. The margin for error is this thin. Like that is what we're going to evaluate them from. And I'll put a bow on this with the defense and say they were beat up. Sullivan out, Rolder out, Barham is out, and they start rotating multiple. Owusu Boateng, Bowles, just a bunch of guys next to
Time out. Say that name one more time.
Nathaniel Owusu Boateng.
So, I know we have to move on, but I want you to explain to people how hard it is to study these names. And then, even though you know it, when he makes a play, you got to look at it quick and say, oh, crap. Yeah. And then you say, like, tell people how hard that is to do that on the fly when you're calling games.
So each team has like their SID, like the sports information director. That's Dave Abloff and Chad Shepard as well. And like you get with these guys and you're like, hey, what's the pronunciations? And our charts have them, and you have to double check. And then you really have to like practice like you're a middle schooler working for a preschool middle school speech, like Owusu Boateng. That's not as bad. You get the West Coast schools with the Polynesian names. Good luck.
And the other part is the coaches don't know the names. names. And so they say the names wrong. And
Or
so
the
now
nickname.
you get that in your head. And it's like, oh, that's not how you say it, but that's how the coach said it in the meeting. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's that. And that's the hardest part because the name matters and the families at home care about it. And you don't want to mess with like mom at home. So Owusu Boateng, and he was,
Let's go.
He was there home on some blitzes.
Let's go.
But the defense is taking strides. The defense had a bad game against USC and has taken clear strides. The offensive line has been challenged. They've taken clear strides. Andrew Marsh has taken clear strides. It's like, Bryce, I know he wants to, and I know he works at it, but what can we do to, I don't know, Dev.
Well, they can just watch this podcast. They can watch this podcast and it gets the answers to them if they want. But if they don't, it's fine. You can just continue to watch your quarterback regress. With, and everybody's talking about how much money he's getting paid. I don't even think that matters. I think you just need to help a kid reach his full potential, period. And if it takes that you have to sit and watch Devin and Jake tell you exactly what's wrong, I think you should do that. Put the pride aside.
I will say this, though. I was blown away. There must have been 20 or 30 people, I'm not exaggerating, that said, man, I love the blueprint. Oh, I love what you guys do. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, well, this is crazy. This is awesome to hear. So
we're still trying to get the coaches to love the blueprint, not get offended, but love the blueprint for what it's trying to do, which is
blowing
help
up.
All of us, me, you, we are all hoping that Michigan is great, that Bryce Underwood is great, that the receivers are great, that the defense is great. I don't think they understand that. We aren't against you. We want you to be the best you can possibly be, because guess what? Now we get to walk around with our chest out, right?
Yeah.
We get to walk around with our chest out.
Collective.
Our former, it's a group effort, but I don't think they believe it that way.
Yeah. Well, all I know is the momentum is inevitable. Like it can't be understated. Like, you guys have been awesome. We'll ask you again. I mean, this is our playoff push here too in November, to continue to continue to subscribe. It is explosive, and eventually it'll be undeniable. Like, this will be the premier podcast if it already isn't. So Dev, I'd love to hear your pictures, or get to your pictures and hear your evaluation. If you're ready for the first break, let's do it. And
but they first have to subscribe, do all the things they need to do. I don't know. We need to say it.
Subscribe, send to a friend.
And then have them. And then, this is what I would really like. Because our parents really don't get into this kind of stuff. Some of them do. Some of them don't. But if your grandma, she's got an email, man, sign her up. She don't gotta watch. I mean, and she might like it. I'm just telling you. I think this is family friendly. I think everybody can enjoy this, even if you don't like Michigan football. So get your grandma involved, man. Stop doing that. Don't be selfish. Don't keep all this goodness to yourself. Spread it around.
I'm looking up, where are we at right now? How many subscribers do we got? How do I look at this?
Maybe like 8,000 or something.
We got to be up there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Just keep it going. Keep it going.
We're getting 50K views. This is excellent stuff. Yeah, 8,000 subscribers. I say let's make a push for 10K then.
Let's go get 10 before the bye week is over. How about that?
That would be outstanding.
How about that?
You guys can help us with that, please.
How about that?
Yeah, we appreciate you. And basically, we're going to take a break. Why you subscribe is this very next segment where Dev breaks down what he saw with Bryce Underwood. So we'll step aside for our first break. In the meantime, you guys hit that like button, subscribe, send to your friends, get them to subscribe. We'll get to 10K. And on the other side of the break, the moment you guys have been waiting for, it's DG's quarterback breakdown. All right, we'll see you here in a few seconds. Support for the Blueprint comes from Google. Being a college football fan these days means you're part analyst, part GM, and part rules expert. The game is just so much more complex than it used to be.
1 minute, you're trying to decode X's and O's. The next, you're debating the transfer portal. This is what college football fandom is all about. And AI mode in Google search is perfect for it. It's built to handle all the nuanced, complicated questions that go way beyond the simple stat.
You can ask it to do a deep dive on strategy, like break down how the spread offense compares to the pro-style offense based on philosophy and pace.
Or you can pivot to a more off-the-field elements and ask, what are the main reasons why there are more college football player transfers in recent years?
You can even get real-time analysis, like asking, how have this year's college football rule changes impacted the season so far? AI mode pulls all that info together for you.
Whether you're worrying about a complex scheme or a new rule, or why your favorite team's roster looks so different every single year, you can just ask Google.
All right, we're back here on the Blueprint to everybody's favorite segment. It is our quarterback, Devin Gardner's quarterback breakdown over the weekend, the win against Purdue. So, Dev, you got the floor, man. What did you see?
Yeah, so we don't have a ton of plays, right? It was obvious which plays were not that great, but you don't come here for the obvious, right? We saw the missed throws down the field, different things like that, but we want to go a little deeper into, like you talked about, the fundamentals to see what can be done to make sure that Bryce Underwood reaches his full potential, and kind of outline that the passing game and the lack of the development of the passing game is going to be a problem, and it was a problem against Purdue, and Purdue's not a great defense. So moving forward, there has to be development. And like you said, the bye week comes at a perfect time. So let's look at this first picture. Very basic, right? It's stick, right? You guys learn different concepts almost feel like every week. Well, not different concepts. You learn the names of the same concept over and over again. But this is one we haven't really talked about, stick. Everybody has in their offense. And on the back side of stick is usually double slants at the top of the screen. Mm-hmm. But if you have stick, down at the bottom, you got a flat route. You've got a kind of an out route that has the option to sit or break out and run away. That is number one in concert. And what I mean by that is those two are like 1A, 1B, right? You kind of see them at the same time and you decide who's going to get the ball. A lot of times you get to throw this and you have no idea how many times I've thrown stick to Jake Butt. Mm-hmm. I've thrown stick on the shoulder pad. I've thrown stick low and away. I remember the one I remember vividly was against Notre Dame. Do you remember this? Where the cameras picked it up so perfectly because I go stick. And we absolutely turn loose the 3 technique, which I cannot understand why. Mm-hmm. That's a story for another day. He comes, he hits me, but the ball's already out. And you catch it low and away, and you're kind of covered. But the ball placement and all those different things makes it so the play can't be stopped, right? And so we have that same kind of scenario here, except it's much more clear and sunny. There is no loose 3 technique. There also is no one covering the main read, which is the tight end on the stick. Move on to the next picture. This ball has to be out. Right, you've got no imminent danger. I remember Harbaugh used to talk about no imminent danger. Mm-hmm. I thought that was hilarious, and I've stolen it from him, and I use it all the time. There is no imminent danger, and if you don't know what that means at home, that means you're fine. It's clear and sunny. There is nobody that even might get to you, right? So there's no imminent danger here to start. This ball has to be out right now, right? Mm-hmm. You can see, if you look very closely, you can see that Marlon Klein's eyes are already at the quarterback, right? So you're technically late here if the ball's out right now.
Right.
However, it's still time. You have to get this ball out. There should be no more reads. It should be balls out right here. As you can see, the first down line is the 35. It's an easy pickup for a first down, and the confidence continues to build. I think a lot of people know what happened here. He ran out of the pocket and did not make this throw. So, and it's a lot of because the feet are unsettled. You can see there, he's almost in a crouched position, ready to leave the pocket,
right,
but with no danger.
Right.
And so as much as you want to say, man, Bryce, where are the fundamentals that are being coached? Because this kid came from high school. Let's be clear. He came from high school, Belleville High School. The talent they play against, not that great, right? He's won a bunch of games. He's got a lot of stats. However, when you are in high school, the fundamentals aren't usually being coached properly, period. Especially at the quarterback position. Now, there are a lot of different high schools that do really good quarterback development, and you got quarterback coaches, things like that. But for Bryce Underwood coming from Belleville, he doesn't have all the fundamentals that you might need. The talent is there, but you need to shore up those fundamentals, and it doesn't look like they've done that, right? Yeah. So we can't continue to just only blame Bryce Underwood, right? There has to be some culpability with the coaches as well. So I think you go 50-50. The coaches are doing an awful job of teaching the fundamentals, and Bryce Underwood is not doing a very good job of receiving whatever they're giving and also finding a way to execute at the highest level on these simple plays. This is a day one play, catch. And so for me, with Al Borges and even with Doug Nussmeier, it was punch, plant, throw. And when I say punch, you put your left foot back, you put your right foot back in a passing position, and then the ball is coming out, right? There is no extra. There is no dilly-dally. There is no run around unless you absolutely have to because it's not open. But in this scenario, as you can see by those green circles, perfect pocket, no imminent danger, and an open Marlon Klein for a first down. This play has to be over in a matter of a half a second. Nobody should even have the time to get to you.
If he's ready to throw at the bottom of that green circle on Marlon Klein, you throw it right there. He catches it and falls forward 1st and 10.
And honestly, he's starting to feel a little better, and I think he can get some of his speed back. He made tight tuck turn.
Yeah.
And maybe I remember against Akron, and I don't think you were in college yet. It might have been when Funchess was a freshman. I threw him a stick against Akron, and because it came out at the bottom of that green circle, he tight tucked, and now he was super fast, as you know. Right, he tight tuck turned and took it to the crib. Right, he scored a touchdown for like 47 yards on a stick with guys in front of him, but because of the timing, he was able to get skinny and get down the field. But there's no chance here, and obviously this ball wasn't even thrown, but you just got to find the fundamentals on the day one plays. This is alarming. It's alarming, Jake, because this is not a super intricate play. This is the play you put in on the first day of camp.
This is early in the game, too.
First day of camp.
Like
early in the game.
It's like one of the very first third downs in the game, too. And you see, I'll show you this later here, too. Look at Blake Frazier there, the left tackle, and you see that guy that white jersey that's bending around. He's going to be unblocked. And you might say, why did the tackle not block him? Well, they were running a game. And Blake Frazier, for a young guy, he knows that this is a three-step. So
Ball's
the
out.
biggest danger is he's going to hold firm on that inside guy and say that looper won't get there if the quarterback gets the ball out on time. So that's great stuff by the left tackle. The quarterback has to get rid of the ball.
Yeah, and so it's so impressive for Blake Frazier because Blake Frazier has been playing all season.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
He was thrown into the fire, and he played well in that game, and now he's playing well again. And that's a small intricacy that you're surely not going to see on other shows, right? Him understanding that it's a three-step. And for at home, you're probably thinking, well, what does that matter? Why does that matter? Well, when an offensive lineman knows it's a three-step, he's going to take the most dangerous man, MDM, the most dangerous man. Who's going to get to the quarterback the quickest? Because this ball will be out when a guy is looping and coming from distance, right? So you take away that guy that's inside, and you, in my estimation, this is a perfect job by the offensive line and a good call on defense of looping a guy, but we got the perfect call. A stick where the ball gets out, Marlon Klein is open. You have to make this play. But
absolutely.
It wasn't made, and we have a bye week to continue to work on these fundamentals. Punch, plant, ball out. Punch, plant, ball out. Punch, plant, ball out. I'm talking about individual drill needs to be punch, plant, throw the stick. Punch, plant, throw the stick. Punch, plant, they squoze the stick, throw the flat. Punch, plant, they squoze the stick, the flat's not open, maybe get to the slant. Punch, plant, you see the slant open, just throw the slant. Like, whichever you're going to do, it's punch, plant, get the ball out. And whatever their footwork is. So hopefully they work on that and make it clear what footwork are we doing to marry against this concept. Moving on. So this is Sale. And I honestly could have just put Sale, Jake. I didn't have to draw the arrows because they've seen Sale so much. And you know who else has seen Sale so much?
Every defensive coordinator. Yeah.
Purdue.
Studies
right?
it.
So let it roll. Next picture, right? And you can see Sale. Top is 1. 2 is the guy that's on the out route. And remember, number 1, he's taking the top off the defense, right? He's almost that sacrificial lamb. And then you got number 3 in the flat, and you got 4 late. I put 4 late because that over route is coming late. However, it's a viable option if you get a chance to get back to it.
Yep.
Move on. Like I said, they've seen it far too much on film, right? So they got 1 to take the top off. They keeping the cap on the defense. They've got 2 in between. They got 3. They got 4. And they also have an extra guy in his face, right? So this isn't as much a Bryce thing. Now, could he have got to 4 or whatever? I don't know. Maybe you want to see him make him miss with his talent. Yeah, fine. But the fact that they know exactly what we're doing and have so many guys in position, more guys than we have, they've seen it too much, right? So that's why I talked about the completions in the first segment from the pocket and from the outside. Because if you can't complete this from the pocket and you continue to cut the field off, defenses are just going to cut the field off as well. Now, does that help you get to throwback screens and different things like that? Yeah, but you can't throw throwback screens every single play. That can't be your passing game, right? So if they are in these positions, that's because they have seen it far too much, and they are conditioned to stop this, right? And it's not going to be conducive to success for the rest of the season because if Purdue is figuring that out, I'm just telling you, everybody's figuring it out.
And I'd say too, Dev, like this is understanding the situation is another piece of this. It's 1st and 10. You got the ball in pretty decent. It's 28. You either throw it away or you could hit Jordan Marshall in the flat. You could go to number 3 and he's going to tuck it up and get you. But the one thing you can't do is take a sack here. And I know that's a linebacker Bryce is probably thinking and rightfully thinking he can make a miss, but you just whatever it takes is just the thing it is. You can't take a sack here.
And this is fundamentals. On day 1 of learning to play quarterback, honestly, right? Throw the ball away. Throw the ball. If you're outside the pocket, when you're in college, now in high school, every state has their different rules where I think in Michigan, you actually can't just throw the ball away. It still has to be a guy in the area. And that tells you how bad the state of Michigan is as far as football rules and the archaic everything. I hate it. But I digress. When you get to college, they let you know. When you're outside the pocket, you throw the ball away if there's danger. Now, I want to tell you one thing. Al Borges, When I tell you he would get so mad if we even got close to getting sacked on a naked. Coordinators call naked bootlegs or sprint outs because they know nothing as bad is going to happen as far as getting a sack. It's not going to happen. You want to know why? Because my quarterback's outside the pocket. By the design of the play, there's no chance of a sack here.
It's a great point.
And so when you get sacked, I talked earlier in the season about the coordinator being handcuffed, and he says, well, if we're going to get sacked in the pocket, which we aren't getting sacked a whole bunch because they're blocking well, but if we can't see in the pocket, we're not going to get sacked in the pocket, and we're going to get sacked outside the pocket, what do I do? What do I do? And so I know this is coach, so I can't the play design. We can attack the coaches. We can't attack the coaches for the sack because the ball should be thrown away. And I know Bryce knows that. I'm sure he probably looked at it on the iPad and said, I should have threw that away. So that's kind of hammering a dead horse. So the ball should be thrown away. This is, like I said, 50-50. 50% Bryce Underwood needs to throw the ball away. 50% the design of the play. Everybody's seen it. Moving on. Here we go. We saw this a week ago against Michigan State, right?
Exact same play.
Up with the post. It's the exact same play, right? Even as far as the sprint out's concerned, you're going to see Samaj Morgan is going to come in the flat, right? And it gets those guys in the same spots as they would be in sail. Like, it's like the only thing they trust Bryce to do, right? And so they get on this naked bootleg on the sprint out. Move on to the next picture. Remember last week, Donaven McCulley was the what? The sacrificial lamb. However, I always say, I've said it all year, he's still number one. He's still number one. Not only is he number one in concept, he's number one on your team. And he's number one 3 times. He's number one in concept. He's number one as far as his jersey is concerned. And he's our number one receiver. There's no world where he should not get this football, right? So the one thing that I think is frustrating for wide receivers, because I play wide receiver, when you're the number one read, and all year we've seen him do what? Take 2. Right? Take 2 defenders away so that everybody else can eat. Sacrificial lamb. Take 2 defenders away so everyone else behind you can eat. And he's done it great, right? He's run as fast as he can, knowing when he sees those 2 defenders, he's not getting the football. But that's a different kind of teammate, right? A guy who understands, even though I'm not going to get the ball, it's so important that I do my job so that everyone else can eat. And when someone is doing that, you have to reward them. You have to, period. Because now, How does he feel about being a great teammate all the time now when he's running wide open and he doesn't get looked at, right? So move on to the next picture. This is just, you can see, and you see here, the last 2 weeks, he's been the guy taking 2. You have to reward him when you haven't. Look at all the space. The only guy that's going to stop him is the referee down deep in the middle of the field. You see that guy with the black pants? That's the only guy. The referee is the only guy. You can throw this ball all the way across the field and allow him to run that football down. He's already got 2 steps on the defender. And this ball was completed. Let me remind you, this ball was completed, but I talked about this against Michigan State on this very same play. This probably won't be a touchdown if Marsh catches it in stride, but it'll be a much bigger gain. This ball's thrown so far behind, he falls down while he's catching it.
Yeah.
And we've seen, he's a playmaker. He's not a guy that's going to fall down when he shouldn't. And so you miss this touchdown, but also you throw an inaccurate ball to Marsh, and you can't get that yards after catch. So obviously this concept is going to be on the note cards of all defensive coordinators as well. It's a different way to get to sale. So they're probably going to have a lot of guys over there next time. The one positive thing we have, though, that run game. So when you went to the play action fake for the run game, they have to respect it because it's been running so well. This is frustrating, I know, for Donaven McCulley. I'm just telling you, I haven't talked to him. I actually don't know him. All I've done is watched him with no sound on tape, just watching every single play he's played. This is frustrating as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Now, Jake, you weren't always the number one target down the field, right? You're a tight end, right? Tight ends just aren't. You don't design the plays for them to be number one down the field. I'm telling you, as a former receiver, if Denard, my roommate, I'm the number one read and I'm open down the field, me and Denard gonna have to fight. Me and Denard have to have a real hard conversation because I'm running as fast as I can, and I need at least a chance to get the ball.
My only thing here, Dev, is and this is where like the layers come into play. Like, hey, he's got a guy in his face there from Purdue, and part of that is like when you talk about the defensive cards, just to our viewers, like what do you put yourself in Purdue's shoes? What do you think their scout offense that's representing Michigan does? They ran boot action probably 10 times a day and another 10 in their walkthrough every single day.
And you know this for a
week.
fact, by the way.
Yeah.
This is not your opinion. You know this for a fact.
For a
talk
fact.
To the coaches.
Yes. Yeah. And so they know boot action is coming. So that's why, I mean, maybe Bryce felt like he had pressure in his face with this guy and I don't know, had to do this, but it's you've had to go to this play so often that every opponent that plays Michigan is going to be prepared for 10 plus boot actions a game. It's not going to catch them off guard, even with how well the run game is.
And again, that's why I talked about the disparity in passes from the pocket completed rather compared to passes outside the pocket completed.
Yeah,
it's just too big a disparity.
They're saying
because of that,
the biggest threat I have to account for in the pass game is boot action. So their third down periods are probably, instead of base passes, boot actions.
Naked bootleg.
Yep.
Yeah. So we got one more picture here. This is the interception. It can't happen. Firstly, I remember talking about this early in the season. Yeah, it's cool you're throwing back across the field, but the better defenses are, that flow of the defense, players are on scholarship and getting paid too. They are going to start to make these plays. So you're outside the pocket, and it's kind of, I don't know if you showed this on the broadcast, Jake.
We did, yeah.
Well, so everybody knows what this is.
This exact angle freeze frame is exactly what we showed. Yeah.
He wears number 1. He's the number 1 receiver. Now, on this play, he's not number 1 in concept. However, you're outside the pocket looking in that. You have to feel this. This is a football feel thing, right? This isn't like, hey, we're reading. This is creation on the outside. And when you're looking in this direction, you have to feel a wide open Donaven McCulley. He's tall. He's good. Like, you should be looking for him to be open. He's wide open. You have to make this play. And to make matters worse, it's an interception. This cannot happen. You cannot take points off the board in scenarios like this. And like I said, you take the picture off. He took a step back, and that is not what you want to see. It's very disheartening because a few weeks ago we were just talking. We were so excited. I was so excited because it looked like it appeared that he was taking a step forward, and he took a huge step forward. But at the end of that episode, what did I say? There will be new things. You got to keep growing. It's not there. You're not out of the weeds yet. And I'm so glad I said that because now I can sit here and say, not out of the weeds yet. Mm-hmm. You have to continue to grow, and there's going to need to be a lot of growth. Like you said, the bye week comes at a perfect time because after taking such a huge step back, you have to find a way to get back to the fundamentals. Throw the ball away when you're outside the pocket. Hit the number 1 read and clean up your footwork when you're in that quick scenario, or basically marry your footwork correctly to any pass play. It has to be your footwork matching the concept. Footwork matching the concept. Right? Yeah. We can't even get into feet and eyes working together because we have to get, firstly, footwork matching the concept. Have to.
Yeah. And I'd say, hey, maybe that's the good thing too, is it's not like you're saying, man, we got to start from scratch this bye week. You get to say, hey, it's 1, 2, 3 ball, 1, 2, 3 ball, 1, 3, 5 hitch ball, 1, 3, 5 hitch ball. Like it's you can that is like one of the easiest prescriptions you can write for your quarterback to say, this entire bye week is what I want you to do. And I'd absolutely expect him coming out of the bye week much improved. But you think about even before the Ohio State game, Northwestern has a disciplined defense. Maryland takes the ball away as much as anyone. That is a dangerous, dangerous defense in game. And then, of course, Ohio State we don't need to talk about how good that defense is. So we
are not talking about Ohio State yet.
Yeah.
We have to find a way to get there.
Yep.
Because right now, if we had to line up against that team, it is going to be a disaster. Yeah. Right now, there's still time, like we talked about. And I think Maryland, honestly, it's secretly a good warm-up, right? Because they're young rushers.
Oh, my.
And I don't know how they keep finding them because, remember, Barham was there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How do they keep finding these amazing young freshmen that can rush the passer? So offensive line will be tested. I think that it's going to be a really good test for the tackles in that game. And like you said, their back end turns that football over. They get to the football. So the one thing you have to think, though, can they stop the run at a level that they need to for Michigan to have to use the pass game?
Yeah.
And that remains to be seen because it seems like they can run the ball on anyone.
Yeah, Indiana ran for like 300 plus on them. So we'll see. But okay, great stuff. Awesome stuff. On the other side, I'm going to have some pictures, and I think you guys are going to like it. There's some very similar things. Devin and I, we do not talk, and yet we come in and say, I'm seeing a lot of the similar things Devin's seeing. So we're going to hit it from another angle on the other side. Great stuff, Dev. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to ask you again, like, subscribe. It's the push to 10K in November. 11th month of the year, push to 10K. We need you. Thanks for liking, subscribing, sharing with your friends, tuning in. We'll see you on the other side of a short break. Hi, welcome back here on the Blueprint, and we are in our final segment of this week's show. I already got some tweets from you guys asking, hey, when's the episode going to drop? Soon enough. We're excited to get this out here. I will now get into my quarterback breakdown, starting with some very similar plays to what you saw, Dev, and this was early in the game. You get exactly what you want. It is a slant and go, a flat and go, mirrored concepts on both sides. And go to this next picture. Bryce sees this well. He gets everything well. All you had to do was see that safety standing right in position to take away the slant and go. Once he vacates and picks up Marsh, bang! Now you got your wide receiver winning in this matchup. Bryce sees this. Let's go to the next picture. Fundamentals. He's got a good base step. This is great. Everything's progressing. We got exactly what we want. Touchdown coming, but go to the next picture. And this is where it starts to unwind a little bit. They're not on the same page, whether it's the angle departure, whether it's the DB pulling Jamar Browder's shoulder. This guy's a true freshman. He was just getting kind of thrown into the lineup a little bit. The ball is released on time. He's going to the right guy. Let's go to the next picture. And what you see here, it's a very flat throw, doesn't connect. So I want to show you the next picture, and I want to ask your opinion on this, Dev. I don't know, because that's Donaven McCulley. These are mirrored concepts. Up top, Donaven McCulley is running the slant seam, but you notice his angle. McCulley is working flat. Browder is turning this into kind of like a go ball. Is Browder supposed to come flat here? Was Bryce supposed to throw him flat here? What's your opinion on that, Dev?
I honestly think Browder is just further in his progression for the route. I think that McCulley's also good, but McCulley sees the ball thrown. He's kind of straddling down because McCulley's defensive back is kind of on top. I think he's going to go vertical too. He's open, right? That's the first thing. If a guy is open and it's the number one, you got to hit it. You've got to hit this throw, and for a young wide receiver, he creates separation, right? We've talked about it. We have to see separation. We have to see separation, and we've seen separation from the wide receivers, and this is impressive for a young guy coming in, hasn't played much, to make some separation. And again, you saw that clean pocket. It's really impressive what this offensive line has done. This has to be a completion, right? And I'm not saying it has to be a touchdown, and you would love for it to be a touchdown because there's no white jerseys in between him and the end zone. But this has to be a completion, and it just furthers the point that Bryce just feels very unsettled in his fundamental. And so this is the talent throw that we've seen him make that you need to make, because it's like everything is in everything else is in order. Your base, your eyes are in the right place. The protection is good. You got separation. Now your talent has to shine through, and that's a scary place to be when the talent doesn't shine through when it has the opportunity to.
I saw this just a few times where it's like, whatever the reason is, it's just everyone's not on the same page in the passing game. And it's like, the fact of the matter is, this is a touchdown if it's the right ball and you hit Browder in stride. It is a touchdown. Let's go to the next picture, because this is another thing that I consistently see. Bryce has a very flat angle of departure. If you put air under it, you give your receiver at least the chance to adjust. And you have a unique perspective of this, having played both quarterback and receiver. But when it's flat like this, you have zero margin for error. And now, the Michigan passing game needs to build in some margin for error.
Especially on deep passes. The thing I'm about to say, on deep passes, a flat trajectory allows for you to see it and the defensive back a lot of times to see it at the same time, right? When you give it air, not only does it allow you to adjust, it allows you to see it before the defensive back, right? And that changed that 50-50 into, I say, 70-30. And for a guy like McCulley, I say it's 85-15, right? So, but when you throw these balls extremely flat, and the one thing I've seen is there's just not a lot of touch. It's all muscle ball, got to try to fit it in there, but this is not a fit in there situation. And so that's where, you hear me talk so much about being a great thrower, having a strong arm, being able to run fast, being strong doesn't equate to not only as a quarterback, as a receiver. Like, just because you're fast doesn't mean you're a good receiver. Just because you can catch doesn't mean you're a good receiver. Just because you can throw does not make you a quarterback that can make the necessary throw. What throw does this play require? That's what you should always be thinking. And that's really cool because Minnesota has that up in their quarterback room. And their young quarterback has played a great season for his first year as a freshman. What does this play require? What throw does it require? Is it a fired in there missile ball? Is it a deep overarching moon ball? Is it a number 2 ball where you kind of get it up and down quick, but it's over a defender? Is it a layered throw? What does this route require from my throw? And I don't think he's got that down yet. And honestly, he hasn't had enough reps in live game action because they just don't throw for the pocket. It's always a sprint out. It's always on the edge. And in their defense, it's a lot of because they don't see the development in the inside, in the pocket from Bryce Underwood. But then I have to go back to, you've had him since the spring. Whose fault is that? Whose fault that he hasn't? Whose fault is it that you can't call throws from the pocket because he's not seeing it well? Whose fault is that if you're the coaches and you've had him since the spring, right? And you've really had him unabated since the spring because Mickey King got hurt, right? Yeah. So you've had all this time. And actually, let's go back behind the spring. You had him in bowl practices. Now, is he going to be doing all the plays you're going to do? No. However, you had him in bowl practices. You had him in the spring. You had him in the summer. So as much as this is on Bryce, it's also on the coaching staff that they are incapable of calling drop back pass from the pocket because Bryce's development hasn't really gotten to the position where they can. And so they're resulted to just throwing those plays outside, those sprint outs and naked bootlegs. But everybody has a part in this. But I think I might be absolving the coaches a little too much. You've had him all this time. You should have been developing him.
Yeah. The necessary but harsh truth is if you want to beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten championship, and get back to raising the national title, like these plays have to get made because this is a great play call, great execution. It's there and it's missed. All right, let's go to the next play. This is what I was talking about earlier. Devin and I, this first third down, we saw the exact same thing. And, an offensive coordinator needs to give you the answers to the test. So we talked about the stick. That's Andrew Marsh lined up right next to Marlon Klein. He was up top in the formation and he came in motion. And no one ran with him. So right away, Bryce knows, okay, this is zone. That's spray flat right there. If you want to throw the stick, the biggest concern is that number 0 defensive back. Is he going to widen or not? Well, you already know it's zone. You know Marsh has that spray out. So you're going to have a pocket there. Answers to the test. All right, let's go to the next picture. And this is there. Bryce is, you're seeing at it. You see the DB widening with the spray flat. So the answers are there. You're ready. Let's go to the next picture. This is the concern. Look at his feet. Like this is
his hips are almost facing the line of scrimmage right now.
Right. You're not ready. You're already, just like your picture, he's already ready to bail. This ball, his feet should be planted. The ball should be out. It is not. So let's go to the next picture and let's see what happens. Okay. This was what I was talking about earlier with the protection. Some may say, why isn't Frazier blocking the game rusher? It's because he knows it's a 3-step. The most dangerous is the inside guy. This is excellent by the offensive line. Next picture is when we'll show you Bryce vacating, and yet you still get exactly what you want. This is wide open. Next picture, Dev. Zach Marshall.
Gotta hit him.
6'5". That is a
He's
catch
6'5".
radius. Yes. Long arms. Large margin for error. And didn't get his hands on it.
And we're not going to show this because, I just didn't want to, but I didn't know that you would go this far into this play, right? This is another miss, right? One of the misses that we kind of talked about, one of the 7 misses, just clear misses. But afterward is what I'm really disappointed about. And I don't know if you saw this.
I did.
But he goes palms up like it's somebody else's fault. And so as the quarterback, you have to take responsibility even when it's not your fault.
Oh, it's always your fault,
even
right?
when it's not your fault, you have to take responsibility. But in a play that is so much your fault, right? Firstly, the ball should have been out. This play should have been over a long time ago, right? Then you scramble out and you start to be talented, which we are cool with. You don't always see it perfectly. And then you make a throw to a 6'5" guy who is reaching. I mean, he gave it everything he had, can't touch the ball. And then you're kind of like, bro, what are you doing? Yeah. And it's just like, you can't show your guys up on television. Thank God you guys didn't show it and whatever, because now Marshall's family's at home watching this game. He's like, what do you mean? Yeah. You don't palms up, because I show stuff like that on the broadcast. Like, listen, the quarterback can't do this. You absolutely cannot do this to your wide receiver, even if it is your wide receiver's fault. But especially when you overthrow a guy that's wide open who's going to catch turn, and he's got good speed, he may be able to get to the end zone.
Yeah, and it's a great point. And again, I'm going to hammer this point home of it didn't cost you against Purdue. It will cost you against the best teams. When this team has an opportunity and we're talking about them with their goals on the season, it will cost you. Now, let's go to the next picture, the next play, because here's the positive. This is a 3rd and 4. Remember, it was just a 3rd and 6. It's a similar play to Y stick. That's Zach Marshall running a sit route. It's a 3-step drop. Now let's watch this play out. Let's go to this next picture. Dev talks about the punch, collect, and the ball's out. That right foot is in that position because of his punch step. He is on his 3rd step. He is ready to throw. Zach Marshall is breaking. You see the separation of the linebacker. Why this matters, this window closes so quickly. Go to the next picture because the ball is now out. Look at how quickly if your feet are not ready, this is why the feet are so important. This is the only route you have to convert. Just look at the rest of it. This is your only option. So if your feet aren't ready, this play is dead. Go to the next picture. This is a great job by Bryce because he was ready. He's protecting Marshall with the throw.
This is the exact throw against Notre Dame you caught. This is the exact throw. This is the exact play. And it's literally, you caught it just like that and you fell down for a first down. This is exactly right. This is exactly right.
Perfect.
So, further frustrating, why aren't you doing it every play?
It's right there. It's because you're capable. It's right there. That's execution. And you move the chains and you continue a drive and bang, you're capable. Let's get back to it. All right, let's go to this next picture because this was a missed opportunity once again. And again, it's one of those situations where whose fault? I don't know. McCulley's running a post. All you have to account for there is that safety. If that's safety and you're running a play action to him, if he's flat-footed, if he comes down in the play action, touchdown. So let's watch this play out.
Leaving.
Yep. So there's the play action. The safety, he's not getting depth.
He's sprinting down.
Yep. And I'm saying, oh my God, I got a touchdown to McCulley. So let's watch it. What Dev just say? If he's even, he's leaving. There it is. That may look like that, but McCulley is running full speed. The safety just turned around. McCulley's going to pass him, which he does here in a second. Notice the pocket. Perfectly clean pocket. You have extra bodies to block. Nobody there because the play action is so outstanding for you. Let's go to the next picture. Touchdown. The ball is released. Bryce is leading him towards that G-Dev. The defender's walling McCulley off. I don't know. Again, this is where I'm saying
this is a race to the end zone. You just got to throw it where he's going already. It's a race to the end zone. Now, if the defender was on the other side, then you can throw him across, right? So, but if I'm McCulley, why would I fight to try to get on the other side of this guy when I can just run straight for a touchdown? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So McCulley's a veteran guy. He's been playing. He's still learning, obviously, but he's been in college playing wide receiver. You've got to throw this ball where he's going. He wins. This is another one of those opportunities where he's usually a sacrificial lamb. You've got to let him get this football. Now, the one positive is that you saw him and he did get a chance, but he didn't get a chance to touch it, right?
Yeah.
The ball's thrown to him, but he didn't get a chance to touch it.
So watch it. Go to the next picture because I highlighted that right there. This is my big issue with this and why the ball needs to be out earlier and with more air because this play, your receiver did not touch it. The slant and go we saw earlier, he didn't touch it. Marlon Klein had an opportunity in the red zone on an out and up. He didn't touch it. Like
on the out and up, the ball was so bad that he didn't even try to stop and catch it because it hit the feet of the defender who was like 2 yards behind him.
So the best, I see this now watching, you watch a ton of college football, the best court, they put air under it. Like the issue I have is we don't know how to evaluate anything else because the receivers and pass catchers aren't getting their hands on the ball. And that is like, what can we say there, you know? All right. I believe, this is the last play. Second half, McCulley leaves the game. Or maybe he left the game on the next play. All this is a 3rd and 4 double slant concept. You have 2 freshmen up top, Andrew Marsh, and then that's Jamar Browder once again. Let's watch it. Go to the next picture because here's the thing. It's a 3-step drop. Look at Bryce's feet. Punch, collect. He's ready. Go to the next picture. The ball is out on time. Check, check, check. Hits him right in the shoulders. Go to the next picture. It's 3rd and 4, and there's the ball on the ground. Drop. So it's not just Bryce. The passing game as a whole, there is meat on the bone that is left on the field that will come back to bite this team in the butt against the best teams if they want to reach their final goal.
Yeah, and in earlier episodes, we're done with the pictures. We talked about the kind of front runner mentality and all these different things. And Michigan State was not a good outing for Bryce. It wasn't a good outing for the offense in general. And while the game's still going, he's taking selfies in the crowd, right? Taking a cell phone from the crowd to take selfies, but there's still time on the clock. You go take a knee, and then it's like a choreographed backflip, and it just always seems like just a celebration of everything. It's like, I mean, I wasn't the kid who got all his grades put on the refrigerator, right? And it's just like everything is a pat on the back. Like, how can you, after a game like against Michigan State, feel comfortable to not only take any game? You shouldn't be doing that, right? Taking pictures with the stands and all of that, but also a choreographed backflip. What are we doing? Let's work. Let's improve the fundamentals, the basics. We have to get to that. If you want to have the ultimate prize of, I mean, obviously national championship, but beating Ohio State, period. You want to make it 5 in a row? That's not the way to do it.
It's okay to say, and honestly, I think it's leadership to say, hey, listen, guys, I'm sorry. I can't take pictures. I didn't play my best today. I didn't hold my standard today.
How are you even communicating with
pictures.
The crowd?
I mean,
you shouldn't even get a chance to say no.
Yeah.
Like, funny story. We don't got a lot of time left. Funny story, right? So we're at Purdue, and this is before I'm playing. You're not there yet. And me and Jeremy Gallon, we would eventually be one of the best duos in history of Michigan football, as far as stats are concerned. But we're on the bench right now, right? And so we're standing on the bench. You know, when the defense is on the field, we're standing up, and at the crowd, they're like, because, you know, at Purdue, a lot of people from Michigan come. Devin, Gallon, please, Gallon, please. It's for my son. And my rule on the road, you do not look back. I don't care what they say. You don't look back. So I get down off the bleachers for a second, and I go towards the thing, but Gallon's still there. And the next thing I hear is, "You're Gallon a sh." I said, he looked back. I know he did. What? We talked about this, Gallon. You don't look back on the road. They're lying to you. It is no son. They don't love you. And so, you know, that's just a funny anecdote that you should never pay attention, especially on the road, to what the crowd is talking about. But, you know,
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't. You can't allow it. You can't allow it, especially if we were on the bench. We were watchers of the game. You're the starting quarterback. You cannot be listening to the crowd, and you certainly cannot be taking selfies after playing the way you did, and it was just disappointing. So
I think my own dad might have been yelling my name sometimes, and I just had to ignore him. Yeah,
it's not happening,
especially on the road. Yeah.
Jake, I birthed you. Yeah. Like, I don't care.
Sorry.
No,
Game.
No.
Well, look, man, it's championship season. They got 2 losses. There's so much to build on. Defense coming along, run game coming along. There is potential and opportunity in the pass game. The bye week comes at a great time to get healthy and to work on these fundamentals. Yeah. This team has potential. The future is bright with the youth, but why not now is the question to be asked. Why not now? And I know they're asking that, and looking forward to seeing how they respond coming out of the bye, man. So great stuff as always. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to ask you one more time. It's the push to 10K. We'd love to hear you guys down in the comments echo that. The push to 10K subscribers. We appreciate you. We're going to get to 10K after the bye week, out of the bye week. Thanks for tuning into The Blueprint. We will see you next week.